are in a classroom. You are looking at your employee handbook. You may be even looking at driver laws in the state. Do you ever look at a set of rules and you scream out, why is this even here? And it is easy for us, if we just simply look at a list of rules, that we respond with resentment. We may even are moved to respond with rebellion, because this resistance between kind of a set of standards or rules, again, our very nature and the depravity of our heart is to push against those things. But we all know that rules are beneficial, rules exist, and they are even required for structure and organization and society and government, classroom, even that team that you're on. So we understand that they're important, but we oftentimes resist against them. It helps, though, our attitude or response to what may seem like standards or rules or regulations, whatever word you want to use to describe that list of things. Our response can potentially be better if we understand why. Now, there's a lot of applications to this. I would say if you lead a team, it is helpful to take the time to communicate why you're asking for certain things. Parents, it's beneficial in the development of your child's heart and mind to take the time for them to understand why. And I would just interject to say, because I said so is not always a good reason why. And so it is helpful to take the time to understand why. Now, I would say while I really care about us being better parents or better employees or better teammates, I ultimately care about us being more healthy in our relationship with God, because that truthfully drives everything in the heart and soul level. So I want us to think about something. This past week, we've been looking actually for 3 weeks in Exodus 19. And now we're at the pivot point where the people are at Mount Sinai having this consecrating moment with God in Exodus 19. And when we turn the page to Exodus 20, we're going to begin to see this long list of rules. Don't do this, make sure you do this. Many people approach God with a heart and attitude of religion that simply view it as a list of rules, regulations, and restrictions. And if we simply view it from the lens of religion, what we're going to lead ourselves to is resentment, rebellion, rejection, because that's not genuinely the heart of the gospel. Exodus 19, and you might want to go back and look for the past 3 weeks because we've made this point in multiple different ways. God takes the time before he gives them the law to make sure they understand the gracious relationship that he has with him and the character of his holiness that gives a framework to better understand how we should then live. The life that we live, and even Paul would compare this when he writes, you could view it as rules, but expectations or standards for Christian living, things we should do, things we should not do. Those guidelines, those rules, if you will, they exist within a framework to help us better demonstrate the character of God to the world. And all of that comes under the framework of a gracious relationship with God, because the beauty of his holiness is that it creates this perfect expectation that we can't live up to. And it is only because of the work of Jesus that while our sin is exposed when we see the holiness of God, through the work of Jesus and his redemption and his willingness to shed his blood for us, makes it possible that we can even approach and have a relationship with God in the first place. So the rules or the law of God are only understood and are best understood within the context of understanding relationship, his design, his nature, and the grace that has been extended to us. Now, I realize there's a really deep well there, but we need to first understand why comes from grace, so that whether that be expectations, standards, or rules, are given in that context. There are some principles there that are beneficial for you to lead your team or lead your family better and to disciple and parent your children. But ultimately, I want us to see that framework through which we best and better understand who God is, who He's called us to be, and why He desires that. It may very well be that this conversation today has sparked questions for you. Don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to come alongside and continue this discussion. There's no way that I could frame all of this in these few minutes together, but this is a seed thought for you to consider. I hope you find encouragement in it and even a challenge to pursue Him more and understand His grace more as we are called and invited to be a part of what He is doing. Hey, God bless. Don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll see you next time.